Get it out, boys. So, for anybody that hasn't seen this, in case you're wondering, what you're looking at is an old fat guy with a pillow stuck to his head, strapped to his head. Does it look ridiculous? Yes, it looks ridiculous. Is it functional? It's very functional. It serves a purpose. It's a pretty important purpose. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to show you what you need to make your own, or you can go to our website and pick one up. But just to get it out in the open, y'all go ahead and knock it out. Go ahead and laugh at it. Giggle, giggle, giggle. And I agree, it's pretty ridiculous looking. But I'll be wearing one. All right, so this is our H2T Tether pillow. It really does look crazy, but it does serve a pretty important purpose. If you're a guy that goes to the stand an hour, 2 hours early in the dark, which we do often to try to beat the rest of the public guys out there, is pretty critical. If you ever look like this guy, and I'm going to show you some pictures. Then you'll know what this thing is for. First, go over some of the functionality of it. It doesn't have to ride on the front of your head. You ain't walking around with it strapped to the top of your head. When you get up the tree, you can simply put it on the back side of your head. Hardly even know it's there. The thing weighs 2 ounces. When you're ready to hunt, depending on what side you're hanging on, you're leaning on, this pillow moves over to the side, and you can lean into your tether or your ropeman or your carabiner or whatever it is you have. When you're done with it, you can just move it around to the back, or you can move it to the other side. Same thing. You can move it to the front, lean forward into it. It actually makes an hour or two of your hunt that much more comfortable. Or if you have dead times and you just you pattern the deer and you have periods where nothing's going to be moving through, and you want to lay your head down and get a little forehead, back, neck rest, just lean that sucker up onto your carabiner. It's actually pretty useful little thing. Small, compact, you can roll it up, you can stick it in a pocket. I mean, for 18 bucks or for whatever it costs you to make one, it's actually a pretty nice little thing to have. It serves a lot of other purposes too. You can put it against the side of your knee if you're a leaner, and if you're a sitter and you're sitting, you're leaning into the tree, you can strap that to the side of your leg. It just makes things a lot more comfortable. You're not going to lose your man card for using it, I promise. If your buddies laugh at them, they're going to be laughing while they got carabiner prints in their forehead or the cheek. So don't worry about that. Just pick one up, make one, use it, and you're going to love it. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to tell you how to make one, go over what you need to make one, and there's a bunch of different ways you can make it. This is just a real quick, easy way to make it. First, you'll need some kind of 2-inch, very thin, pliable, soft webbing. This is 6 inches of the 2-inch webbing. You're going to need one slotted slider. This is a plastic slider that I robbed it off of some old pack. Same thing with this tri-glide, 1-inch tri-glide. About 24 inches. This is a knit soft elastic. You can use regular elastic that you get at Walmart. It works fine. It doesn't bother my head. Some guys are sensitive that way. Those are guys that are worried about wearing a pillow on their forehead. But nevertheless, they do have a knit elastic band. This is 24 inches of that, and that comprises your headband. You're going to need whatever material you want. You want something that's fairly durable, because it is going to be possibly rubbing against bark or carabiners or something like that. What I did was last year we went to Wally World when they're having their everybody's done, let's get rid of all our crap sale, and bought a pair of pants for like $4 or $5 or something like that. And you can get a lot of material out of those pants. What we did is we took those pants and we cut two 5.5 by 8-inch squares out of it. While you have those pants, just for future reference, don't throw them away. Cut the back pockets out. And we're going to do another little DIY thing to show you later, but keep those. You're also going to need a piece of pad. This is off my wife's yoga pad. Don't tell my wife. You can get yoga pads at like Bargain Hunt or Walmart or anywhere super cheap. This is just a little piece, I guess it's 1/2 inch memory foam, not memory foam, but very dense foam. And something to stuff your pillow with. Or that's once it's done, you need something to stuff on top of this. So this provides you the majority of the padding from the carabiner. If you just use this stuff, it's going to push through that pretty easy, and you're still going to feel it, or the whatever it is your ascending or climbing device is. Or you can use, and that's how this one's set up. I have a piece of that dense foam on the back side, and the front is just soft polyester pillow stuffing. You can get that at Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby, any of those places. Or this one, which is like 3.2 ounces, has 2 layers of this in it, which is also just fine. I like that one too. It's just as comfortable. It's a little bit less of a profile when it's on your head. So that's what you're going to need to make this bad boy. And now we're going to go over to the sewing. You don't need an industrial sewing machine. You don't need a heavy duty sewing machine. You're not sewing through anything major here. Your or your wife's or your grandparents' sewing machine is just fine to do this with. You won't be sewing through the thick stuff. All you're sewing through is the little bit of webbing, or the little bit of the elastic webbing, and the material. So we're gonna go over to the sewing machine. I'm gonna show you how we make one up. All right, so we're here at the machine. First thing I do is I prep the strap that the headband fits under. And basically you're just gonna fold each end over. I burn the ends, fold them over about 1/2 inch, and just sew that down. I'm a lighter. I like to clean up as I go. It doesn't have to be a perfect 1/2 inch, just whatever you got. So what I'll do is I'll burn the edges, burn these tag ends. There we go. You gotta be careful with this. I think this is polypropylene webbing, so it tends to melt pretty fast. Be careful with that. So there's your headband strap. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the pillow sides, and on the camouflage side or the outside side, we're going to sew the strap down just on the length, just on the lengthy side of the webbing, kind of centered. Like I said, any sewing machine will work. On that edge, you want to go over 2 or 3 times so it doesn't slip on you. Same thing on the other side. All your excess off. There's your track side, and that's where your strap goes right through the middle. Next thing you want to do is inside out. You want to sew with your with the inside or the outside in. You want to just sew a square right around the edge. Sew these two together. What I'll do is I'll just do about 1 inch on this side, and what this is doing is leaving the gap for you to get your pad and your stuffing into. So do 1 inch or 2 on this side, then go back over it. And go to this side, do the same thing. So that created a pocket for you to be able to get your padding into it. Turn the whole thing inside out. Oh, I forgot to sew one side. Be sure you sew 3 sides in those 2 corners. I just got a little ahead of myself. Alright. Trim everything up. This is all going to be on the inside of the pillow, so it doesn't really matter. You'll turn it inside out. You want to pay special attention to your corners and really kind of push those out. And that's why we sewed those sides a little bit in, is to go ahead and create those corners, because when you're stuffing this thing, you want to be able to go ahead and stuff those corners. It's kind of a pain to do afterwards. So that's basically the head pillow is almost done already. So now we're just going to fill it. So what I do is I take the foam, sorry about that, the machine, I roll it up, I stick it in there, and you might have to cut a little bit or trim it up as you're going. Once you get it in there, kind of unroll it, shove it into the corners, get it nice and straight. You want to make sure you got enough room to roll these edges over once you're ready and sew this section back up. So once you got that done, you got your corners in. Then you're going to get your stuffing, which I don't know what I did with it. Alright, so we went ahead and sewed up to the corners, rolled that over a little bit, and now we're going to get the rest of the stuffing in. Like I said before, you want to be sure that you stuff the corners really well, because those are tricky to get stuff into later on. You can make this as dense or as soft as you want it to be. Alright, once you got it packed up, push all that down in there, take your edge, roll it over. It'll be a little tricky to work with. Now you're just ready to sew it over. Got a little bit of a gap there. Close that up. That's what I get for not holding on my thread. Trim off all these little excess pieces. Be careful not to cut your material. Then I'll singe off any threads and seal up. you go. Pillow for your face. All right, so now we're going to make the head strap. You're going to take your tri-glide, slide your webbing through the middle, up to the top. So you're just wrapping it around that center post. Then you're going to give yourself a little bit of slack, roll this edge over just so it stays clean. Sew that down. More work on that one. Cool. All right, so once you get your tri-glide sewn in, you're going to take this black loop. This is a single little slider. You'll put that through all the way down to the buckle. Put your webbing or your elastic webbing through the sleeve. And that's why you want to use this 2-inch webbing, give you room to work in there. This 2-inch webbing. And once you get that through there, go ahead and run this guy. So I like to keep my sewn in on the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. Alright, once you do that, put it up through the tri-glide, up through the bottom, over the loop you created, down to the top. You're going to sew it to this guy. You're going to create a loop, again keeping that on the bottom. Like that. You want to roll that over again. You're going to sew that on there like so. All right. What that does, that gives you an adjustable headband to be able to pull that in and out, give yourself some slack. So, then that wraps around your head, and there you go. Cheap, easy to make head pillow.